So, Yash, first of all, welcome. And let's start with a very important question regarding the market. Uh, how do you see stock market inspired mechanism shaping the next phase of the skill based sports gaming? And what signals do you see that suggest that users are ready for some more dynamic stuff in this market?
Okay, first of all, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. And to address your question, so I think definitely stock market mechanisms are the future of iGaming. So I would say actually I would break it down to two things. One is fantasy sports, which is, the social betting element that a lot of, as you've seen a lot of operators get. And in that also stock market algorithms are very important because from my own personal experience and from what I have seen is that users nowadays need a lot of choice. They don't have enough choice. They need a lot of data. They need a lot of statistics and engagement on the platform. Along with that, users also need to have a lot of influence. A lot of times, users do not really influence the payouts, and users just have to get done with whatever odds they're getting from the platform. So the stock market mechanisms actually change that because they give more power to the user. Because you get a share, you don't know how much the share will pay you, and the users, basically the market forces in this sense, or the users who are using the platform, they are the ones who are deciding the odds for it. So definitely I think there's a lot of engagement in this. There's more power to the user. So that's why stock market algorithms and stock market mechanisms is the next big thing. And in terms of the market validation, and in terms of apart from my personal experiences too, you might have heard of Trade Stars or Jock MKT, and other platforms such as Exchange 22. So they are actually based on stock market algorithms, which is, you could call it fantasy 2.0. So yeah, I mean, I think that if you think about it, if you break it down from a user perspective, what the user is missing in the current iGaming, sports book, and even in fantasy sports, these 3-4 elements that I told you, especially data is a very critical element as well, because a lot of people, sports buffs like myself, we pride ourselves on our data. We remember every statistic that we have by heart. And for most of the sports books, whenever you're betting on a sport, they don't show app data. So even for shares, in terms of a fundamental analysis or technical analysis, this is very important for a user to get, and that's why users engage with that data, and is a very good retention tool for users as well as for operators.
All right. So, with surge in iGaming operations and everything, and also Sportsbook is now, as you can see, adding some skill-based elements inside their games. How are you exactly structuring? Not just you, actually. Let's say the market, the industry operators are now structuring the API to meet different technical demands and the UX requirements also, be it the crypto exchanges, Web3 platforms, and also at par with some traditional gaming ecosystems?
Yeah, that's a good question. So yeah, I mean, that's what we're doing at Credexon as well. The biggest buzzword or the biggest thing that we can do is to add customizations, and customizations of all types. So especially with Credexon, what we're doing is we have a lot of we have customizations in terms of the wallet. So like you mentioned, the crypto platforms or the Web3 platforms, our API can be integrated according to any kind of wallet you have. So if you are working with a crypto operator, you can you can play with crypto coins. If you're using it as just a retention tool for for your other game modes, you can use it as a free to play tool, because basically we have three basic endpoints. One of them is the wallet endpoint. So whether it's whether it's free coins, or whether it's Web3, or whether it's crypto, all of them can be integrated. Now in terms of your technical queries, it's simple. We have a modular API, and most of the platforms, in the last question I already addressed to you the user side of things. Now for the platform side of things, of course the platform wants higher retention, higher engagement, and most importantly tracking. So tracking needs to be there, and for tracking, of course, we have a back office where we're giving the users, the operators in this case, a lot of customization options where they can see the reports that the amount of users that are joining, but also customization apart from UI UX and apart from the wallet, in terms of the leagues that they want to offer. So for example, an Indian operator would want to have an Indian league. League, the Indian Super League. A Turkish operator would want Turkish tier 1 and tier 2 leagues. So basically we're giving a lot of choice to the user. And the main endpoints means that we just need a user ID from the operator. So whether it's an email ID or a unique identification number, it works. And that's how the integration works. So it's solving the problem of customization, flexibility, as well as fast integration in just 10 to 15 days.
All right. So, as you know, user volume and data complexity is also growing in the sector.
Yeah.
So, what framework do you use, or what we say, how do you calibrate the reward systems to maintain fairness and prevent any sort of exploitation strategies?
So that's a good question. That is very very prevalent in our industry as well. So with regards to Credexon, the scoring system is not that important. What's more important is the unified scoring system, or basically transparency, and basically being showing it to everybody. So transparency and the unity of the scoring system. So with regards to what we do, we are very transparent with all our users within terms of what the scoring system is. So if somebody is getting 1 point for a run scored or 2 points for a run scored, it doesn't matter. What matters is that in the same contest, the scoring system remains the same for everybody. So that's one thing that we do. And in terms of compliance and in terms of fraud users, of course, there's a lot of in our games. It's not like a RNG game. So it's not like a random number game, or it's not like the house has an advantage, or it's not like the system will get cleaned out if something out of the blue happens. It's all based on real games. It's not like esports or virtual sports. So all we can do is we can have frameworks, or we can have objectives in the way that users are able to see other people's teams, but only once the match starts. So like for example, in the industry, bots, the biggest issue of fraud, or the biggest issue of fraudulent transactions happen when a lot of operators join with bots. They will just join with 100 200 bots, and they will only win. So how do we counter that is, first we show users the teams of all players from the beginning of the match itself. So it's not like by the time the match ends, the team has switched completely, and the points have been updated according to the highest scoring teams. But at the same time, we make sure that the users can't see other users teams before the game starts, because then they'll just copy the other teams, or they'll do it in terms of what the other person is doing. So there are two main things we do. Like I said, one is the scoring system. It's unified, it's transparent, and it's basically out there for everybody to see, and so are the teams. So yeah, those are the two main frameworks we use to avoid fraud in especially our fantasy sports games.
All right. One last question before we let you go. As more and more platforms are now seeking to deploy quick to deploy engagement tools, what sort of, or what kind of platforms do you expect are going to drive the fastest adoption of the play and skill engagement within the next 12 to, let's say, 12 to 24 months?
So I've already addressed that. I mean, I think that of course most of the operators, or everybody, you might be a crypto operator, you might be Web3, or you might just be an iGaming operator. Everybody wants the same thing, which is engagement, redeposits, and kind of engagement from the users, and basically use something new for the users, the choice bit for the users and the power bit for the users. So I think definitely fantasy sports is one of the things that would be the buzzword in the coming few years. I think it's the next esports, in the sense that in the last 5 years nobody had really heard of esports, but now every operator, everybody has esports. It's like almost something that's necessary for you to have. So similarly, fantasy sports is something that would be there, and in that also there's a fantasy 2.0, which is the questions you were asking earlier regarding the stock market algorithms. So I think fantasy sports, the social betting element and the stock market element would be two of the things. And then apart from that, also because users also always want a kind of instant gratification. So virtual sports and games that are happening every single day, or basically every hour, would be the games that are rising in adoption. And of course, in terms of the retention tools that you said, blockchain based technology and AI based technology. So AI based retention tools, whether that's fraud prevention tools or customer retention tools, they will also be very very evident and prevailing in the industry. So some of the other industry trends some of the other business trends basically that would be in all other industries, not only iGaming, such as AI and the blockchain technology, Web3 technology would be there in the iGaming industry, but in its own way. So solving the problems that are prevalent here, like retention or fraud prevention. One of the biggest issues in the industry is also the quality of traffic in the affiliate industry. Half the times people think that the traffic sources are fraudulent or you're getting bots. So AI based tools, especially for that, because it's very hard to kind of do it manually, or it's very hard to kind of not do it without having a bulk of data to kind of analyze before that. So yeah, fantasy sports, more importantly fantasy 2.0, and then AI based retention tools and AI based fraud prevention tools, as well as virtual sports, I think would be the trends to look out for in the next 12 to 18 months.
Well, Yash, I would like to say thank you once again for this great interview. And we hope you make the most out of your time here at the summit. And I expect you to hear more from you, possibly in future again.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.